Revealed. How a kind maid transformed a millionaire's life after his heartbreaking wedding day. Jack stood frozen at the altar, the pristine white aisle stretching before him like a cruel joke. His heart raced as he scanned the crowd, a mix of familiar faces and strangers, all gazing at him with what felt like glee. The organ music faded, replaced by the painfully obvious absence of his bride. She'd call off their wedding, just moments ago, leaving Jack to unravel like cheap thread unraveling from a fine suit. "You're not who I thought you were, Jack. I need someone who can get me where I want to be," she had said, her words slicing through him like a dagger. Tears brimmed in his eyes as she disappeared into a sea of laughing guests, and Jack felt like a ghost in his own life. The grand mansion he built with his own hands felt like an empty shell. Once a symbol of success, it now loomed over him, a proud giant watching his sorrow. Days turned into weeks as Jack retreated further into this isolation, pushing away friends and family, the shadows of despair becoming his only companions. The laughter that once echoed through the halls turned hollow. He wandered through rooms laden with memories, all of them leading to nothing. Enter Maria. At 28, she was a devoted maid, bright yet humble, making her way through life with sheer grit. Maria knew Jack well enough to see the pain in his eyes, but she was also aware of the warmth hidden beneath the loneliness. With a simple smile and a bowl of homemade chicken soup, a relic from her grandmother's kitchen, she approached him. The aroma filled the grandeur of the mansion, awakening something inside Jack that had long been asleep. "You need to eat," she whispered, her kind demeanor striking a chord in the depths of his heart. Jack hesitated at first, instinctually resistant to her outstretched hands. But as she slowly coaxed him with stories from her family, of togetherness and shared meals, he found himself laughing for the first time in what felt like ages. It wasn't about wealth. It was about shared moments filled with genuine warmth. Maria's quiet strength chipped away at the economic divide, revealing his crumbling self-worth hidden underneath layers of branding and prestige. But as he peeled back the layers of their budding friendship, Jack wrestled with memories of his past, a past steeped in glittering wealth but void of authentic connection. As Maria peeled the soup, her hands were slight but steady, much like how she handled his melancholy. It became a ritual. Her stories became his sanctuary, a place where success didn't matter. Jack felt himself changing. Roots of purpose were starting to sprout in the barren soil of his heart. One night, Jack sat at the table, surrounded by bowls and laughter, when the doorbell chimed a familiar tune. It was her. His ex-fiancée stood before him, composed and radiant, clutching a proposal he never thought he'd hear again. "We could be so great together, Jack," she said, her eyes sparkling with that same old shine that once captivated him. Jack's heart raced. The tension was overwhelming. Would he return to a life of opulence clouded by superficial admiration, or would he embrace the complicated love forming with Maria, the raw, real connection that illuminated the darkness in his soul? He was torn, suspended between two worlds, one fueled by greed and the other by genuine connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack's thoughts churned like a storm inside him. Maria's laughter echoed in his head, a stark contrast to the polished facade of his ex-fiancée. As he stood at that crossroads, torn between his past and the possibility of a warm and fulfilling future, one question surged forth. Would he choose to leave behind the shimmer of his worldly treasures for a chance at real love? Jack stared at his ex-fiancée, Nora, her presence a mix of nostalgia and confusion. The world around him faded into a blur, her golden hair catching the light and glimmering almost like the life he thought he wanted. But even in that moment, he could hear Maria's laughter echoing in the corners of his heart, reminding him of the countless evenings filled with warmth, stories, and a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. Jack, Nora's voice cut through his thoughts. Are you even listening? Her patience was fraying. He was still stuck on the memories of chicken soup and good humor. I don't know, he finally admitted, the truth tasting bitter yet freeing. I don't know if I want the life we planned. He felt the weight of those words, the uncertainty washing over him like a tide dragging him under. Nora frowned, her facade cracking. What do you mean? We had it all figured out. This is what you wanted. The anger in her voice matched the whirlwind in his head. Did I? Or did I want what you told me I should want? Her expression shifted from frustration to concern, but he couldn't look at her. The realization hit him hard. He had been so eager to please, to fit into the mold she made for them. He had never stopped to define what he personally desired until Maria wandered into his life. He remembered the way Maria had come to him, her hands peeling vegetables, yet somehow peeling back the layers of sorrow within his own heart. She had seen him, really seen him, beyond the wealth and the facade. Jack, Nora softened, stepping closer. I can offer you a life full of luxury, excitement. Just think about all that we can achieve together. In response, he thought of the laughter that filled his home now, the way Maria took time to ask about his day, the genuine joy in her eyes when she spoke of family traditions. That was real. That was alive. No, Jack said firmly. I don't want that anymore. Nora's eyes narrowed, hurt dancing behind her irises. So, it's her then? You'd choose that Maid over everything we had? What I have with Maria is something different. It's not about money or status. It's about feeling whole. He could see her anger morphing into a vulnerable hurt, a wave of realization washing over her. With one swift movement, she turned, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor as she marched to the exit. Jack felt a pang of regret. Nora, wait! But the door closed behind her with a resounding finality that echoed in his chest. Only silence filled the space where she had stood moments before. He was left standing in the hallway, his heart racing again. But this time it was different. This time he wasn't drowning. The weight of indecision had lifted, leaving clarity in its wake. Yet as the silence settled in, a gnawing fear crept back. What if Maria didn't feel the same way? What if he had ruined everything by simply opening his heart? That thought lingered in the air like a storm cloud waiting to break. Jack moved instinctively towards the kitchen, seeking solace in the familiar smell of meals shared with Maria. But he found it empty, just the echoes of their laughter remaining. Panic rose within him as he called out, "Maria, where are you?" His heart pounded in his chest, desperation lining his voice. Had he waited too long? Did his past choices push her away? The door swung open, and there she stood, crusted flour dusting her apron, eyes wide in surprise. Jack! In that moment, Jack saw everything he wanted reflected in her gaze, the warmth, the possibilities, the real connection he craved. He took a step toward her, ready to speak the words that sat heavy in his throat. But would she understand the significance of what had just happened? Would she see him as he truly wanted to be seen? The air was electric, charged with the weight of unspoken feelings. And as Jack stood before her, everything hinged on how he would finally express what he had discovered about himself, about life, and about love. Would he take that leap toward the unexpected happiness waiting for him? The moment hung in the air, full of possibilities, and Jack was about to find out just how transformative this moment would be for both of them. Jack's heart raced as he looked into Maria's wide, curious eyes. The flour on her apron reminded him of the delightful mess of their last baking session together. Now her smile shone like a beacon, yet he was engulfed in uncertainty. "Jack, are you okay?" she asked, her brow slightly furrowed. "You look different." He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. He could feel the gravity of the moment pulling him deeper into the emotions he had just unearthed. Here she was, the embodiment of everything he had realized he wanted. But how could he put that into words? "Maria," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "I just had this unexpected encounter with Nora. It's made me think about a lot of things." Her expression shifted, concern dancing with curiosity. "Nora? Your ex?" Jack nodded, taking a breath as he stepped closer to her. Yeah, and it made me realize what really matters to me. He searched her gaze, willing her to see beyond his fears. I don't want the life I thought I wanted anymore. Maria. I want you. The last word felt heavy, weighty, filled with the intensity of his newfound truth. Maria's breath hitched, and the kitchen seemed to still, holding its breath like him. Jack felt his pulse quicken. What if this moment shattered beneath the fragility of their past? Jack, I didn't know you felt that way, she stammered, temporarily thrown off balance. Her eyes shimmering with hesitation and hope wrestled within him. I know I shouldn't have let other things cloud my judgment, he continued, his voice steadying. I used to think love was about grand gestures and fitting into a perfect box. But you've shown me joy in the simplest things, the laughter, the cooking, the stories we share. That's what I want. That's what I need. For a moment, her eyes softened, warmth flooding the chill of uncertainty hanging in the air. Jack, my life is simple. I didn't think someone like you would ever consider it. His heart sank at her words. That's not true. You're everything. He moved closer, needing to bridge the space between them, needing her to understand. You've made me feel alive in ways I didn't think were possible. Please don't underestimate what you mean to me. Her breath quivered softly, and he held onto the moment, the lightness of possibility, the warmth of a real connection. Then why did you say nothing before? Maria pressed, eyes searching his, a tender tension threading between them. I was afraid. Afraid I'd ruin this, Jack admitted, shrugging as if to shake off the weight of doubt. But now I realize I was just hurting both of us by holding back. That familiar heaviness cloaked their moment again. Yet something in her expression began to shift. It was as if she was peeling back layers of her own doubt. You mean it? He nodded earnestly. Every word. I want this chance, Maria. With you. Silence enveloped them again. The only sound the soft ticking of the clock on the wall drumming out a rhythm of shared vulnerability. Jack waited, longing for her to bridge the distance he kept feeling. I just don't want you to choose me out of pity, she murmured, the shine in her eyes sparkling with emotions they shared and ones yet to unfold. Pity? Jack echoed, frowning. No, it's not about that. It's about clear choices. And I choose you every single day. Her gaze fell to the ground for a moment, but when she looked up, there was a spark of hope in her eyes. What do we do next then? She asked, her lips forming a tentative smile. A smile curved onto his face. They would challenge the world, together, and he could feel the excitement building within him. We start by making dinner together, and then we take it one day at a time. As they shifted toward the kitchen, an unexpected warmth radiated in the previously familiar space. Jack felt free, lighter than he had in years. But his heart also whispered a question. Would their love withstand the complications still waiting in the shadows, the remnants of the past that might resurface? The anticipation of their shared future lingered in the air, filled with hope, uncertainty, and the promise of something wonderful. Could they really weather the storms ahead, forging deeper connections through the chaos of life? As Jack gathered the ingredients for dinner, a sense of exhilaration swelled within him, competing with a hint of lingering apprehension. He could see the excitement in Maria's eyes, and it ignited an electric warmth that spread throughout the room. The scent of basil filled the air, and he caught a glimpse of her rediscovering something long buried, something like hope. Okay, chef, he said, playfully nudging her as he handed her a bunch of fresh tomatoes. What's next? Maria held the tomatoes delicately in her hands, studying them as if they were the key to unlocking a secret. We should make your favorite pasta, but let us add a twist. How about a fresh sauce instead of the usual Jared stuff? Sounds perfect, Jack agreed, feeling the tension start to dissipate. He watched as she expertly chopped the garlic while humming a soft tune, her energy contagious. But even amidst the laughter and the sound of clattering pots and pans, a shadow clung to the edges of Jack's mind. Nora's words echoed back to him, reminding him that stepping into this new chapter meant confronting ghosts that didn't just fade away. Maria caught him staring and raised an eyebrow. You're awfully quiet. What's on your mind? Just thinking, he said, hesitating. About everything. About us. Everything? She prodded, her eyes glinting with playful challenge. Okay, maybe not everything, he sighed, apprehensive. More like what could come next. I want this. But what if I can't fully shake my past? Her expression softened, understanding unfolding between them. We all have pasts, Jack. It's what makes us who we are. But that shouldn't stop you from moving forward. He nodded, her encouragement a warm balm to his doubts. You're right. I guess it's just hard not to think too much. Yeah, I get that. You need to let go a bit. Faith in the future can be a stronger anchor than carrying the past. They worked side by side, the cooking transforming into an unspoken dance, each movement filled with a rhythm that began to symbolize the synergy growing between them. Jack couldn't help but admire the way Maria effortlessly blended flavors, just as she had begun to blend into the fabric of his life. Just as the sauce simmered, their laughter cut through the air, light and joyful until the sharp ping of Jack's phone broke the moment. He glanced at it, a frown forming as he saw Nora's name on the screen. Who is it? Maria asked, a hint of concern weaving into her tone. It's Nora, Jack replied, feeling a knot tighten in his stomach. Do you want to answer it? She asked, her voice steady yet gentle. If it's something important, he took a deep breath, the weight of the decision looming over him. What if answering that call unraveled everything they had just begun to stitch together? But what if ignoring it meant letting more past wounds fester? No, he finally said, locking eyes with Maria, who was watching him with unwavering support. I don't need to answer it. Not now. As he silenced the phone, Maria's smile returned, effortlessly soothing his fears. Good choice, she affirmed. Let us focus on this moment. I'm here and I want to be all in. No distractions. The connection between them seemed to strengthen, an unspoken promise. Yet as they resumed their cooking, the uneasy thought of unresolved matters loomed over him. Would the phone calls from Nora only grow more frequent? What else could his past still bring into his present? As they sat down to eat, laughter echoed around their little kitchen table. With every bite, Jack felt a newfound clarity wash over him. But as the plates emptied, the shadows from his past still lingered, and a question loomed. Would it ever truly be that simple to leave behind what once defined him? Maria reached out to touch his hand, a reassuring gesture. But in the back of Jack's mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing somewhere. Would he be strong enough to navigate the complications ahead? Or would the past drag him back into its darkness? The meal ended, and the kitchen buzzed with lingering warmth both from the delicious food and their shared laughter. Jack and Maria cleared the table, but the air still felt heavy. Jack couldn't ignore the gnawing sensation in his gut, the whisper of danger lurking just beyond that moment of joy. How about dessert? Maria's voice broke through his thoughts. I've got some chocolate ice cream left. Absolutely. He forced a smile, wanting to push away the shadows clinging to his heart. But as he watched Maria scoop the ice cream, he could feel that familiar dread creeping back. The longer he stayed silent, the louder Nora's voice rang in his mind. But today was about Maria. She was a beacon of light in the fog, and he needed to hold on to that. Let us sit outside, he suggested, eager for a change in scenery. They moved to the small balcony that overlooked the street below, pretty fairy lights casting a soft glow around them. The night was tranquil, the distant sounds of the city melding into a relaxing hum. When they settled into the chairs, Maria handed him a bowl of ice cream. I can always take you out for ice cream, you know? If you ever want a more exciting dessert experience. Yeah. What do you have in mind? He scooped a large spoonful, letting the cold chocolate melt against his tongue, momentarily drowning out his apprehension. Oh, you'd be surprised. Her laughter rang out, and he felt lighter. There's this little spot downtown that's supposed to have the best sundaes. I even read they put cayenne pepper in one of their recipes. Sounds wild, right? Jack chuckled at the thought. Cayenne pepper with ice cream? That sounds like a dare. Exactly. All the best things in life start as dares, Maria said, her eyes bright under the glow of the lights. You should give it a shot. She was so straightforward, unabashed by the idea of adventure. struck a chord in him. It had been ages since he wanted to step out of his comfort zone. But the thought of Nora hung in the air like a dark cloud. What if I told you I'm stuck in this rut? Situations like this, they make me just want to retreat. Why? Her voice was soft, probing gently at the seams of his shield. He took a deep breath, stirring the ice cream as he searched for the right words. I guess I'm just afraid that I'll mess things up again. You know, being afraid is normal, Jack. But don't let that fear bind you. It's about trusting yourself and those around you. Her gaze was steady, unyielding. There it was again, her ability to cut through his defenses. You make it sound so easy. Maybe it is. Maria shrugged, her playful smile returning. Or maybe we all just need a little push sometimes. The evening drew on, filled with easy conversation and shared dreams. Yet Jack couldn't shake the nagging feeling from earlier. Just as he felt the connection between them deepening, a sudden vibration interrupted the moment, a final ping from his phone. I know it's Nora, he muttered, uncertainty bubbling inside him. Do you want to check? Maria asked, concern flickering across her features. No. He hesitated, gripping the phone tightly, the tension coiling around them like a tightrope. What if she reached out for something serious? Is it serious? Or is it just your mind playing tricks? Maria's steady demeanor helped to ground him. Sometimes the heart needs to confront the truth to move forward. Was she right? Would distancing himself from the past ultimately lead to freedom? There lay the value of the moment, his choice to embrace vulnerability right here, right now. As the conversation rolled on, hinting at dreams he hadn't allowed himself to think about in ages, a small part of him still felt tied to the past. Could he truly let it go? A gust of wind blew through the night, rustling the leaves. He set his bowl down, the chocolate congealing forgotten. I need to decide if I'm ready for what's next. Maria leaned closer, her face earnest. Whatever you choose, just know it's okay to step into the unknown. Just don't wait too long. Jack's heart raced. Was he ready to burn through fear? Or would he allow the weight of the past to keep him in place? That unanswered question lingered in the air, heavy yet electrifying, as they shared a moment of silence under the stars, teetering on the edge of something new. And somewhere in the back of Jack's mind, darkness whispered, would it shatter the light he was beginning to see? The next few moments felt suspended in time. Jack stared into the depths of his bowl, the melting ice cream a metaphor for the unrelenting struggle between his past and the possibility of a brighter future. Maria's gaze remained fixed on him, a gentle challenge sparking in her eyes. It stirred something inside him, a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, tonight could mark a turning point. Jack. Her voice was soft, yet it resonated with purpose. What are you afraid of losing? He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat thick. I guess I'm afraid of losing the chance to be happy. Every time I think about moving forward, I remember how easily I lost everything before. The shadow of his past brushed against him, a ghost that wouldn't let go. Maria's expression softened, her eyes reflecting an understanding that sunk deep into his chest. You've endured so much, but you can't let fear steal what's ahead. Life is too precious for that. Feeling the weight of her words, he inhaled sharply. But what if I fail again? It was a question tinged with vulnerability and regret, one he had asked himself countless times. Failing is part of living. She leaned in, her voice more intimate now. You can't soar without risking a fall. What matters is how you rise afterward. A gentle laugh escaped his lips, but it was laced with something deeper. As if life really works that way. Maria smirked playfully. Well, let us make a pact then. No more avoiding the things that scare us. We take chances together. Jack raised an eyebrow, surprised by her audacity. Together? Just like that? Why not? I hate the idea of living life in a bubble. She leaned back, her fingers twirling a loose strand of hair. Plus, you've got less to fear with company. It's like a safety net. Her enthusiasm stirred something inside him. Could it be this easy? He studied her smile, the genuine spark dancing in her eyes, and felt a rush of warmth envelop him. Maybe he had been too consumed by his fears to notice the beauty of the present. All right then, he said, more certain than he felt. Together it is. Let us face those dares. Maria clapped her hands, a burst of joy lighting up her face. Great, we could start small. How about that cayenne ice cream? Or an impromptu dance-off in the living room? Jack chuckled, shaking his head. You really are something else, Maria. I want to do that. And we will. Her laughter rang out, childlike in its excitement. For the first time in a long while, he sensed a possibility growing within him, something exhilarating, something alive. But just as hope blossomed, the weight in his pocket began to tug at him. He could feel his phone vibrating again, buzzing ominously against his thigh. The insistent buzz sliced through the moment, wrapping him in uncertainty. Who was it? Was it really Nora this time? Maria noticed the shift in his demeanor. Jack? His fingers moved unconsciously toward the device, caught between two worlds. He didn't want to look, but he couldn't ignore it either. What if she really needs to talk? What if this time it's serious? Maria's expression hardened slightly, concern replacing her lightness. Or maybe you need to prioritize your own happiness for once. You've been through enough. With a trembling hand, he picked up the phone and stared at the screen. The choice loomed large, crushing, and electric. Do I answer? The moment stretched as they both waited for his decision. And deep down, Jack realized this wasn't just about a phone call. It was about facing himself, choosing the path towards healing, and possibly letting go of the past. Swallowing hard, he glanced back at Maria. Do I dare? And in that instant, he felt poised between the lingering whispers of his old life and the brightness of the potential ahead. As the tension mounted, his finger hovered over the screen, ready to decide everything in a single instant. Would he plunge into the unknown or retreat back into the shadows? The future beckoned, and it posed its own tantalizing question. His heart raced as he weighed the options. Jack could feel Maria's steady gaze on him, a silent reminder that whatever choice he made, she would be there. It was new ground for him, the kind of support he had craved yet never believed he deserved. Jack? Maria's voice gently broke through the tension. Whatever happens, I'm right here. With a shaky breath, he pressed the button. The screen lit up, displaying Nora's name like a flashbulb moment, capturing everything he had tried to escape. Deep down, he was terrified of what it could mean. Was this a call of desperation, or a plea for reconciliation? As he answered, the familiar sound of her voice washed over him, bringing with it a mix of nostalgia and heartache. Jack, I really need to talk to you. Can we meet? He could hear the tension in her tone, the kind that suggested unfinished business. His stomach twisted. The years they'd spent together were filled with both love and pain. Years he wasn't sure he wanted to revisit. Where? He asked, his voice barely a whisper, and he felt Maria's slight flinch at the tremor in his tone. How about the coffee shop on 5th? Just like old times, Nora suggested. There was a forced lightness in her words that felt like a mask for deeper feelings. Fine. I'll be there, he replied mechanically, surprised at how easy it was to agree. But inside, a storm raged. As he hung up, Maria took a deep breath. You didn't let me know she was calling, she said, her voice carefully measured. Yeah, I know, but it's complicated, he replied, looking down at his trembling hands. Complicated doesn't mean it has to dictate your life, Maria countered softly. If you need to see her, that's your choice. Just don't forget what we talked about. This is your time, Jack. He nodded, absorbing her words like a lifeline thrown his way. The warmth of their previous moment felt distant now, overshadowed by the weight of the impending meeting. Jack stood up abruptly, needing to shake off the nerves. I'll just grab my jacket, he said, moving towards the door. Maria stayed seated for a moment, watching him closely. Just remember, you're not alone in this. You have a chance to carve your own path here. Don't lose sight of that. Her words hung in the air as he turned back to face her. A flicker of doubt stirred within him, gnawing at the edges of his resolve. What if stepping back into the past only dragged him down once more? Yet, what if there was a way to reclaim the pieces of himself he lost? With a newfound determination, Jack slipped on his jacket and paused at the door. I'll call you after the meeting. I promise. Watching him leave, Maria offered a small, hopeful smile. You're stronger than you think, Jack. As the door closed behind him, Jack stepped out into the cool evening air. The city buzzed around him, alive and vibrant. Yet inside he felt like a single thread, fraying and vulnerable. Walking to the coffee shop, he replayed every moment of their past together, slowly unraveling the knots that tied him to old memories. All the love, the good moments, the pain. It clenched at his heart, brewing anxiety as he neared the meeting place. With each step, he wondered, would he find closure? Or would she pull him back into a past he'd worked so hard to escape? Entering the small coffee shop, Jack scanned the room, searching for her familiar figure. The smell of fresh coffee mingled with baked goods, somehow nostalgic and unsettling at once. When he spotted Nora at a corner table, time seemed to freeze. The light bounced off her hair, framing a face that felt like a ghost from another life. Just when he thought he was ready to take a step toward understanding, doubt crashed over him like a wave. In this moment, he would either reclaim his story or let the past dictate his future. And the future, so close yet so daunting, quietly whispered its own question. What was he truly willing to fight for? Jack approached the table slowly, his heart hammering as he rehearsed countless possibilities of what this meeting might bring. Nora looked up, her eyes locking onto his. She offered a tentative smile. It felt more like a mask than a welcome. For a moment, it seemed the world outside faded away, leaving just the two of them in a bubble of disbelief and uncertainty. Hey, Nora said, her voice light, but he heard the heaviness beneath it. Hey. Jack slid into the seat across from her. The air was thick with unspoken words and memories they had not yet shared. How have you been? She asked, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sweater. He hesitated, weighing his response. Should he tell her the truth? That every day had felt like a battle? Instead, he chose the safest path. I've been managing. You? Nora looked out the window, her gaze drifting towards the bustling street outside. It's been different, I guess. She turned back to him, her green eyes glistening with something he couldn't quite name. I didn't know if you'd want to see me again after everything. A chill spread through him. I didn't think I would either, he admitted, the weight of his honesty hanging between them. Here, back in the past, he had fought so hard to escape. He felt old wounds reopening. She paused, her breath catching. I wanted to talk about us, about what happened. I've thought about it every day since. She faltered, a storm brewing behind her expression. Every day? Even after everything? He asked incredulously. Yes. Came out sharper than she intended. I know what we had. I realize now it was special, even with the mistakes. Jack's heart tightened. Nora, we hurt each other. Are you really saying we can just fix this? I hoped maybe we could try to understand why everything fell apart, she said, her voice softening. I never wanted to hurt you, Jack. Her words struck a chord, an echo of what he had always wanted to hear. But his walls rose instinctively. And what happens next? Do we just pick up where we left off? Nora shifted in her seat, her vulnerability spilling into the air. I don't know, but I know I've changed. I've learned so much about myself. About us. Us. He repeated, feeling the weight of the word tugging at his heart. I know I don't deserve your trust, but I'm hoping we can at least talk and maybe find some closure. Or maybe we can see if there's still something worth saving. The openness of her proposition wrapped around him, making it hard to breathe. Memories flooded back. Whispered secrets, shared dreams, the warmth that once felt so real. But beneath that nostalgia lay bitterness, the shattered pieces of who they were. Closure sounds nice, he finally replied. But do you really think we can move forward? As silence lingered between them, the moment felt fragile, as if the slightest breeze could shatter it. Jack watched Nora, wondering if she truly understood the risk of stepping back into their shared past. Maybe it starts with understanding, she said, almost pleadingly. A part of him wanted to reach out, to engage with her words and dive into those deep waters once more. But another part, one that had learned the hard way, warned him of the depths beneath. Maybe, he echoed, feeling heavy with confusion. Would he risk everything just for a glimmer of what could be? As he looked into her eyes, torn between hope and fear, he felt the weight of his choices pressing down on him. Just then, the door swung open, spilling light and laughter into the coffee shop. Jack's heart raced as he recognized the familiar face entering. It was Maria. The contrast of her vibrant energy against the tension of this moment was almost too much to bear. Would she see him here, exposed and vulnerable? What are you doing here? He thought, panic rising. He instinctively turned back to Nora, the reality of his situation hitting him hard. He was caught in a web straddling the line between his past and the new path he yearned to carve. And as they sat there, hearts laid bare, Jack knew this was just the beginning. The question hung in the air, breathing life into a storm of possibilities. Could he really choose between old love and new beginnings? Jack felt frozen for a moment, trapped in the tangled web of emotions around him. Maria, with her bright smile and contagious laughter, seemed to light up the room. Her presence was a stark contrast to the heaviness that had settled between him and Nora. "Hey Jack," Maria called, her voice ringing out like a bell, cutting through the tension. "I didn't know you were here. You should have told me." Nora's expression shifted, a shadow passing briefly over her features. Jack shifted in his seat, torn. "Hey, Maria. I didn't expect to see you." Maria stepped closer, her energy filling the space. "I just came by to grab a coffee before my shift. How have you been?" She looked at him expectantly, but her gaze flickered to Nora, a look of surprise taking shape. The unasked questions loomed between them. Jack noticed how Nora's face tightened. The warmth of Maria's presence suddenly felt like a spotlight illuminating all the hidden truths neither Jack nor Nora were ready to confront. "Actually," Jack said, forcing himself to sound casual, "we were just catching up." He hesitated, unsure of how to navigate this minefield that had formed so quickly. "Oh, that's great." Maria beamed. "I love that you're reconnecting. I always thought you two had something special." Nora's eyes darted to Jack, a flicker of pain dancing across her features. Jack felt his heart clench at the unspoken words swirling in the air. Maria's bright energy felt like a blessing, yet it amplified the overwhelm he felt. "Yeah, special for sure," he replied, striving for a nonchalant tone. But inside he was anything but. "I have to get back to work soon," Maria said, oblivious to the charged atmosphere. "Jack, you should join us for the trivia night this weekend. That'll be fun. We could use some more players." "Trivia?" Nora asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, it's a thing we do," he said, trying to sound enthusiastic. "Good distraction, light-hearted fun." "Sounds like a good idea," Maria chimed in. "Right, Nora?" Jack's eyes shifted back to Nora. She was looking at him like he was the one holding the key to everything. Her vulnerability was back, the weight of their history pressing heavy on her chest. She started, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater again. "I'm not sure." "Hey, it's about having a good time. No pressure," Maria interjected with a smile, clearly eager to lighten the mood. "We need a lively spirit like yours, Nora. Besides, it's a great way to meet people." Nora's eyes met Jack's again, searching for something there. "Something more. Maybe," she finally said, her voice soft and uncertain. "I'll think about it." With that, Maria turned her attention back to Jack. "What do you say? Let us make it a friends' night out?" Jack felt the pull of two very different worlds. Part of him wanted to agree, to escape into the laughter and distraction. But another part, the deeper part that still felt the pangs of history with Nora, hesitated. "Yeah, let us do it," he said finally, choosing to embrace the chance for connection, even if it felt complicated as Maria beamed. Jack's heart ached with the weight of what lay ahead. The trivia night would bring them together again. But at what cost? What would they each face when the laughter faded and reality settled back in? As he caught Nora's eye, he saw a flicker of hope and fear mixed into one. Could this really be a way to bridge the gap they had created? The challenge wasn't just about moving forward. It was about untangling the past. And as the warm tones of the coffee shop enveloped them, he wondered if, Perhaps, both love and new beginnings could exist side by side. But would the pain of their history push them apart once again? Or could the laughter of a trivia night be the thread they needed to stitch their lives together? The night of the trivia contest arrived, and Jack's heart raced as he walked into the lively coffee shop, the familiar energy wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Laughter and chatter filled the room, a stark contrast to the quiet sadness that had often loomed in his home. He spotted Maria at their usual table, her radiant smile lighting up the space and easing his lingering doubts. "Jack!" she called, waving him over. The genuine joy in her voice sent a rush of warmth through him. He felt alive, free from the shadows of the past, even if just for a moment. "Hey, ready to win this thing?" He grinned, trying to match her energy. Maria laughed, her eyes sparkling. "Winning would be nice, but just having fun is what matters, right?" As Jack took his seat, he felt a sense of camaraderie blooming around their table. It wasn't just about competition. It was about connection. Friends filled the other seats, each one brought something unique, and the air buzzed with anticipation as trivia began. The first few rounds flew by, filled with friendly banter and playful jeering. Jack stole glances at Maria, her laughter ringing out like music. Each sound felt like a reminder of all he had been missing, genuine moments that filled life with joy. Amidst all the laughter, Jack caught sight of Nora enter the coffee shop, a hesitant expression on her face. Their eyes met briefly, and he felt the weight of their unspoken history hang between them. His heart sank as she approached. The warmth of the evening suddenly turned chilly. "Hey," she said softly, her voice barely louder than the music playing in the background. "Hi," Jack replied, forcing a smile that didn't fully reach his eyes. Maria must sense the tension. She leaned in closer to Jack, her presence wrapping around him like a protective shield. "Nora, glad you could join us." Maria's tone was bright and warm. "Thanks," Nora replied, uncertainty tracing her words. "I thought I'd stop by just to see how it's going." Jack felt a wave of paranoia wash over him. What did she want? He could sense the shifting dynamics, the old life colliding with the new. "Join us." Maria gestured brightly to the empty chair beside her. Realizing that a space lay open, Nora hesitated but eventually eased into the seat. The trivia contest rolled on, but Jack's focus split between the game and the tension at the table. With each clang of the bell signaling the next round, he felt the unpredictable pull of the past intertwining with hope for the future. "Question," the host boomed. "What is the largest country in the world?" "Easy," Maria exclaimed. "Jack, you know this." He nodded, his brain racing back to geography classes. But as he began to answer, he caught Nora's gaze. A mixture of vulnerability and determination swirled between them. "Russia," he answered, his voice falling flat in the cacophony that followed. "Correct." The host punched their team on the scoreboard, but Jack's heart felt heavy. Nora leaned slightly closer, catching Jack's eye again. "Thanks for inviting me tonight. It's nice to see you in this energy." "Yeah," he replied, feeling his walls beginning to crumble. "It's different." A moment of silence settled as a myriad of emotions filtered through the air. Jack could see the glimmer of understanding in Nora's eyes mirroring what he'd felt all along. But Maria's hand brushed against his, grounding him in the present. The tension break was palpable, laughter erupting after another question. Jack felt buoyed by the moment, a reminder that comfort and joy were possible, even amidst complexities. Between trivia questions and answered glances, the night unfolded like a tapestry of emotions. As the contest neared its end, Jack pushed thoughts of yesterday aside. He saw Maria beam as they answered questions and even goaded each other for silly mistakes. And in those shared moments, he felt a lifting of the heavy veil obscuring his heart. With the final question looming, the competitive spirit ignited the group. "This last one is for the win," the host declared. "Let us do this," Jack shouted, adrenaline rushing. Together, Maria, encouraged, a unified front against their stakes as they shouted answers. Jack felt light within, a sense of freedom blossoming deep in his chest. They worked through the question as a team, laughter spilling out uncontrollably when they finally came to the answer. with the final buzzer signaling the end of the contest. An eruption of cheers celebrated the team's victory. Together, they had pulled it off. Maria's hand found his, squeezing tightly as they celebrated amongst the group, where Nora stood quietly, a soft smile hidden behind the joy unfolding around her and the flickering fairy lights wrapped around the cafe. It all became clear to Jack. He felt anchored, centered in this fragile bubble of laughter and belonging. As Nora congratulated them quietly, he felt a shift. Maybe closure wasn't about the old wounds, but rather understanding that all the pieces could coexist. Memories of love interwoven with the laughter of new connections. The flicker of hope reminded him. It wouldn't be about choosing one or the other. It would be about embracing the expansive unknown that lay ahead. Jack took a deep breath, the past settling into a space where it no longer held power over him. Leaning closer to Maria, he felt a wave of understanding wash over. There was room for both love and growth in this new chapter. And through the laughter and light, as the evening wound down, Jack made a vow to keep stepping forward. Life was too precious to fear what lay around the next corner. As the lights dimmed and their laughter echoed behind them, Jack found a way to hold on to both the bittersweet past and the beautiful potential, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited him next. This was just the beginning. Now, if you felt that excitement, that connection, then this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories and heartwarming transformations. And don't just sit there. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and tell us how this journey moved you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share.